In this world, people gain unique abilities by eating the fruit of the skill tree. These abilities range from becoming a powerful firebender to a legendary sword saint. However, for Light, his skill was far less impressive. He became a nutting master. The day of the skill ceremony was one of excitement and hope. Light and his childhood friend, Rena, walked together to the church, eagerly discussing their potential skills. Light had always dreamed of being an adventurer, so any combat-oriented skill would do. Rena, on the other hand, didn't care what skill she received, as long as she could stay by Light's side. Despite her nervousness, Light reassured her that they would both gain incredible skills. At the church, the Holy Sister explained the rules of the skill fruits. Eating a fruit would grant a skill tied to a specific profession, ensuring a secure job without the burden of student loans. However, there was a strict, immutable rule. No one could eat more than one skill fruit. Consuming a second would result in certain death, a warning cemented by the tales of countless victims who had ignored it. Rena was the first to choose. As she bit into her fruit, her body radiated a blinding light, and the Holy Sister gasped. Rena had acquired the legendary Sword Saint skill. It was a once-in-a-decade occurrence, and Rena's destiny as a top-tier adventurer was sealed. Light cheered for his friend, overjoyed by her success, before stepping up to claim his own skill. Nervously, he took a bite of his chosen fruit, but instead of gaining an awe-inspiring combat ability, he was blessed, or cursed, with the nutting master skill. The Holy Sister tried to console him, but the truth was clear. His ability was limited to farming nuts. Devastated, Light begged to try another fruit, but the fatal consequences were non-negotiable. Rena, ever supportive, promised to stay in the village and help Light grow nuts. However, the Holy Sister had other plans. Rena's talent as a sword saint was too precious to squander, and the sister insisted she leave for the royal capital immediately to begin her training. Torn but unable to refuse, Rena left, promising Light she would return for him one day. 3 months passed. Light had embraced his role as a farmer, using his skill to grow and sell high-quality nuts. Though his profits were modest, he tried to stay positive. However, the pain of Rena's absence lingered, and news of her rapid rise to S-rank adventurer only deepened his sense of inadequacy. Despite his skill's limitations, Light trained tirelessly, hoping to awaken a hidden talent. Day after day, he practiced with a sword, striking at a tree stump in vain. Exhausted and disheartened, he questioned whether Rena still remembered him, or if her new life had erased their bond. One evening, his young ward, Aya, interrupted his spiraling thoughts. Orphaned and abandoned by the village chief, Aya had been taken in by Light, and the two had since formed a makeshift family. She invited him inside for dinner, proudly serving a stew she had made. Light praised her effort, but as he ate, Aya casually mentioned using the special fruits he had stored in boxes marked with skull symbols. Panic set in. Those fruits were skill fruits, and consuming more than one was supposed to be fatal. Light braced himself for the end, his body racked with heat and pain. Yet, as moments passed, he realized he wasn't dying. Instead, a surge of power coursed through him, accompanied by the emergence of a second skill, Sword God. Aya, too, began experiencing changes. She had unknowingly acquired an appraisal skill from the stew and could now read Light's abilities. To their astonishment, his nutting master skill granted immunity to nut-based toxins, allowing him to survive the second fruit. The Sword God skill dramatically boosted his attack power and magic resistance when wielding a sword, making him far more powerful than he'd ever dreamed. Eager to test his newfound strength, Light raced to the forest. With a single swing of his sword, he effortlessly cleaved the tree stump and the massive tree behind it in two. Overwhelmed with excitement, he decided it was time to pursue his dream of becoming an adventurer. The next day, Light ventured to the guild, determined to prove his worth. For the first time in his life, he felt that his dreams were within reach. Armed with his newfound skills and an unwavering determination, Light prepared to carve a new path for himself, one that would reunite him with Rena and allow him to stand beside her as an equal. Light had always dreamed of becoming an adventurer, and today might be his chance. After gaining his newfound powers, he visited the Adventurers Guild to officially begin his journey. Turning to Aya, he said, "Stay here on this bench while I grab us a quest," and headed to the front desk. As Light stepped away, Aya, brimming with curiosity, used her newly acquired appraisal skill to scan the other adventurers in the guild. She was amazed by the wide variety of skills people had, from elemental magic to combat mastery. But she also found some skills shockingly useless, like one man who had a self-damaging ability. Just then, a commotion broke out near the front desk. Looking over, Aya saw Light in the middle of an argument with another adventurer. The man at the center of the dispute recognized Light as the nut seller from the market and mocked him, claiming that someone like Light didn't belong in the guild. But Light ignored the taunts entirely and calmly turned to Aya, saying, "Let's go." The man, offended by being ignored, lashed out and attacked Light with his sword. However, thanks to his sword god skill, Light's reflexes were far superior, and he effortlessly blocked the strike. Shocked, the man stumbled back, realizing that Light wasn't the easy target he'd assumed. Seeing that Light wasn't someone to mess with, the man's friends quickly intervened, convincing him to drop the matter. Claiming he hadn't been serious about the attack, the man and his group stormed off to their first mission. Shortly afterward, Light and Aya left the guild, their first quest in hand. Their mission took them to the rocky plains, where Light couldn't contain his excitement. "Stay close to me," he told Aya. Soon they spotted their target, a slime monster gliding across the distance. Light approached cautiously, trying to sneak up on it, but the slime noticed him right away. Forced to abandon stealth, Light charged forward, slicing the slime in half with a single swing. The ground cracked beneath his blade, a testament to his overwhelming strength. Aya cheered for Light's first successful quest, but they still had work to do. To complete the task, they needed to carve up the slime's remains and return the parts to the guild for payment. Aya hesitated, feeling bad about cutting up the creature, but Light reminded her that the reward would be enough to buy pizza. With her moral qualms vanishing at the thought of pizza, Aya eagerly helped dissect the slime. Their task was interrupted by a distant shout. Rushing toward the sound, they found Jean, the adventurer who had mocked Light earlier, and his party under attack by a massive ogre. The group had picked an easy slime quest, but had run into this far deadlier creature by mistake. The ogre swung its massive club, forcing the group to dodge. They were clearly outmatched. Jean, spotting Light, quickly came up with a plan. He and his friends ran straight toward him, hoping to use Light as bait to escape. Realizing their intention, Light sighed. "Figures," he muttered. With the ogre now focused on him, Light had no choice but to fight. As the ogre swung its club, Light dodged, but Aya reminded him that his sword god skill didn't boost his defense. One mistake could be fatal. Undeterred, Light resolved to push himself. "If I want to be the world's greatest adventurer, I have to overcome this," he thought. Channeling his newfound strength, Light leapt into the air, dodging another attack, and slashed the ogre's club in half. The creature roared in frustration, but Light was undeterred. In one swift motion, he brought his blade down, cleaving the ogre in two. Jean and his friends, watching from a nearby hill, were left speechless. Later, back at the guild, Light handed over the slime parts and the ogre horn as proof of his success. The receptionist was skeptical at first, but Jean's friends backed Light's story, confirming that he had defeated the ogre single-handedly. The receptionist, now impressed, prepared his reward. As Light waited, Jean and his friends thanked him for saving their lives, albeit somewhat begrudgingly. The guild's atmosphere suddenly shifted as a crowd gathered near the entrance. Jean explained that the S-rank party had just returned, and among them was Rena, Light's childhood friend and the person he'd been striving to catch up to. This was the first time he had seen her in 3 months. Excited, Light approached Rena, calling out to her. But to his shock, she looked at him with cold eyes and said, "I've never met this man before in my life," and thus, episode 1 concluded.